Welcome to the Knowledge for Men show. Your life will never be the same.
Your level of success will seldom exceed your level of personal development.
I want to die empty of regret. I want to die empty of my best work. We don't understand who we are. Instead, we're living out somebody else's narrative.
What one man can do, another man can do. If it's been done, it can be done again.
Being yourself and being your truest, most authentic self in every moment. If it scares you or makes you a little afraid, do it. Follow your heart and your gut.
The first stage, I think, is finding you, like finding out who I am today.
Stuff will not work. You will have things that fail. Success is when you're a happy, fulfilled person. How do you define success?
It's your life, and you are the creator of the movie script that is your life story.
Hey guys, haven't shared it too many times, but one of the biggest epiphanies that I've ever had in my life was the first day that I started reading personal development, entrepreneurship, business books. And the day that I started reading those books, that was the day when my life changed. And ever since then, I've never stopped. So I've compiled the top 30 books and also the top 30 success quotes that every man must live by in a simple guide. You can download it for free at kfmfree.com. Again, that's kfmfree.com to really start growing in every aspect of your life. All right, guys, welcome to the show. I'm here with Christian McQueen, a dating and lifestyle blogger and podcaster and lifestyle enthusiast here. Christian, happy to have you here on the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Andrew.
All right, Christian, let's dive in now with a favorite success quote or some sort of saying that the guest has lived by and share with us what that means to you.
Failure is not an option. And I don't know who said it first. I mean, I've heard it before everywhere from, Eminem, the rapper, I believe he has that saying in one of his songs. And it gets thrown around a lot on the internet, but it's always meant a lot to me because if you have that type of resolute attitude towards getting ahead in life, whether that's with women or money or anything, then it's conducive to propelling you forward. If people have the plan B mentality of, well, I want to get good with girls, but if it doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world, right? Right. So their plan B is like, it's okay if I fail with it. Well, then you're already setting yourself up to fail. And you're minimizing your, the odds of you pushing through and becoming great with something. And that's with anything from sports to women, social skills, whatnot. That quote has fueled me for over a decade.
Yeah. You see a lot of those memes and stuff. Failure's not an option. And that applies in business too. Like if you're okay with it not working out, if you're okay with this book not working out or this podcast not working out or this whatever business endeavor you're going through, if you're okay with that, then chances are you can easily succumb to that and just fall into that.
Absolutely. And I think part of it too is, it's not that you will not have failures, but overall, right? If overall you're okay with failing in life, if you look back on your deathbed and you have tons of regrets, then you failed, right? In business with women, you're going to have instances where you fail, or maybe a business didn't work out and you don't want to get too tied emotionally to any business because then you get blinded and whatnot. But overall, if your goal is to be successful, then you have to say, all right, well, that didn't work out, but I'm going to push on this, right? And I'm going to make that happen. Like you just have to have that attitude in order to get ahead. I've never met anyone that's super successful that didn't have that attitude.
Yeah. Share with us how this applies into your life with what you've done, what you've created. How does this resemble there?
Well, I think one of the biggest things is coming from nothing, right? I didn't grow up in the ghetto, so to speak. I didn't grow up in absolute poverty, but I thought it was normal to get socks for Christmas, So obviously, like, I didn't come up with any money. So coming from that perspective, it was like, look, there's no, Grandpa Jones to rely on. There's no trust fund. There's no, real connections that can get me ahead in life. So either I'm going to do it or it's not going to happen. And, is that the ideal situation to be born into? Obviously not. But, I think life is kind of like poker, right? You get dealt some cards and then you're going to have to figure out what you're going to do with those, right? You can fold, you can bluff, you can strategize and still win. So it's played a crucial role in my life in terms of causing me to accept responsibility. I think that's the first step for guys who want to get good with women, money, whatever, is saying, I'm going to take responsibility for this. Like, you're better off taking responsibility for something that's not even your responsibility, so that you'll claim the power back, right? Because by claiming responsibility, you empower yourself. And that's a buzzword thrown around a lot nowadays and not really used the way it should be. But, by empowering yourself, by saying, you know what, no, I'm in this situation because of choices I made, or I'm in this situation because, I didn't take advantage of that opportunity a year ago. All right. Well, now that I know and I accept that it's my fault, what am I going to do to fix it? Because it is in my power to now make the correct choice to fix it. So I think it's very important, and it's super common, especially with the kind of current generation, to play the victim or not accept responsibility. And that's a terrible, terrible place to be in mentally, because it's too easy to, accept playing the victim and whatnot. And you're never going to get ahead in life playing that card.
Yeah. I don't know any great man or successful man who is a victim.
Exactly.
They've overcome it maybe at one point in their life, but they have come to a place where they overcame that and took responsibility of their life.
Exactly.
Let's take a few steps back here. And when did you have your kind of aha moment or turning point in your life where you took responsibility and you started maybe working on your dating life or building a business and felt that you were enough to be able to do these things?
I think a big part of it was going through a situation. I went with a girl I wrote about in the article, The Day I Died. I wrote about that, and that's a whole nother topic, but you guys can look that up on my blog. But,
so there's a big breakup here. This is like
it
a
was
catalyst.
a massive breakup, dealing with, a girl with BPD, right? Borderline personality disorder. So that became kind of a catalyst for me to go, all right, I have game, right? And I've said this before on my podcast, there's a difference between having game in terms of going out and pulling a girl and relationship game. It's two different battlefields, two totally different strategies. And so I was really good at going out and picking up girls. Like that game I was aware of, I had mastered it. That was no problem. But once I got into a relationship, I just lost my mind. I'd become super clingy, super paranoid, just, terrible. It's like night and day. So obviously that would throw girls for a loop. Now in this situation, I was dealing with a psycho, literally. And kind of after that breakup was the moment where I'm like, all right, something I'm doing, or I'm attracting the wrong type of girls, or something's off with me. So it was that time of self-reflection of going, okay, I need to take responsibility for this and stop saying, well, it's just these chicks acting ridiculous, because technically, this is me taking responsibility, right? It was my fault that I didn't see the red flags, right? Which you don't know what you don't know. Now it would never happen in a million years because I would spot it. But if I would have spotted the red flags, wouldn't have gotten that situation, et cetera, right?
What are some examples of some of these red flags?
Oh, Lord. I wrote an 11,000 word article on this the other day.
Good. It's on top of your mind. Let's do it.
On top of that, multiple, man.
Just like a few big ones that guys just should not be settling with.
Very simple ones. Like the girl is constantly bad-mouthing people in her life, right? In other words, everybody's done her wrong. Like her ex was abusive, her dad was an asshole, her mailman, left the mail in the slot the wrong way. Her boss secretly is out to get her, right? That's a reflection that it's not all those people, it's them, right? And this can even be with a buddy. If you have a buddy who's constantly, talking shit about people and saying that they're doing him wrong, and man, they're out to get me. Like there's that victim mentality. The other thing is like any chick that's on prescription meds, I know that's not politically correct, but it is what it is, the truth. If a girl opens her purse and it looks like, a CVS pharmacy, like there's an issue. That's just a fucking fact. Erratic behavior, super lovey-dovey into you 1 minute, the next minute won't return your calls, just anything that's inconsistent and screams that they're not stable just as a person in general, then that's definitely a major red flag.
Yeah. Keep going. Let's do 3.
Keep going and go all day on this.
I think it's important. Like if we're settling with these red flags, like they pop up and they blow up into this much bigger breakup than if we just catch it and identify it and move on.
Exactly. Yeah, some other things are, and actually I'm just going to pull this up because I covered it pretty extensively in this article. And I think I dropped this, 2 weeks ago or whatever. It's called Exclusive Guide to Damaged Women. Yeah, so I go into all this, kind of the science behind it and stuff as well. But, one of the big things too is, and this sounds funny, right? Because it's like, well, that's what you want. Every guy wants this, but generally the sex will be like super hot too, right? So you have this kind of mind blowing sexual experience with the girl, and you're like, oh my God, this is mind blowing. It's the best sex I've ever had type thing. But what I think that does is kind of short circuit our logic side, right? So as men, we tend to be logical until the girls start sucking our dick. And then it turns into, logic goes out the window. And that's what happened with me, is that I didn't note the red flags, even though something felt off in my gut, because, you're having the sex and whatnot. So you're like, all right, well, whatever, I'll deal with her saying she would leave her baby for me. You know what I mean? Even though that's like an insane thing to say, because I'm getting something out of it. Right. So, for example, I wrote here, a crazy girl's enticement is her sexuality that pushes our buttons like a player pushes an innocent girl's buttons. So as effective as our game is on a girl, especially, like 18, 19, 20, 21, before they start to get kind of jaded, right? Our game can be super powerful, super effective. The same way that kind of a crazy chick, her effect is on us, right? Because it's a form of girl game is what it is. So, another thing is like extreme anger. If a girl is overreacting, I mean, whether that's in a drive-through, say you're in a drive-through at Starbucks and she just like goes off, right? Especially early on, you got to think most relationships, people they kind of show the best side of themselves the first 2 or 3 months. But if these cracks are showing in the first couple weeks, then that tells you, what is it going to be like 6 months from now? Right? Or why is this person so out of control with their emotions? You show me someone who can't control their emotions, I'll show you someone who probably has a lack of control in other areas in their life. So it makes makes for an interesting situation. And then the funny thing is nowadays is a lot of girls have issues, right? A lot of men do too, but a lot of girls have issues. I mean, there's obviously, a lack of father figures in a lot of younger girls nowadays and whatnot. So it's kind of hard to.
Yeah, and also for men. I mean, both.
Oh yeah,
both, like
absolutely.
damaged men, damaged women, trying to date each other and blame each other.
It's
both
parties
ridiculous.
Here. Yep. And you have on the male side, you have the effeminate men, because they didn't have a male role model, right? And they grew up, watching TV shows where the guy's constantly like the henpecked dad, and they just think, well, that's normal. Another big red flag, this is a huge one. Anytime a girl starts talking about she was sexually abused as a child, run for the fucking hills. Now, was that her fault? No, that's fucked up. That's terrible. But it's not your responsibility to play psychologist and counselor, right? And that kind of irreparable damage to a woman, while obviously it's extremely unfortunate, it's not the kind of baggage you want to deal with, because that's where a lot of these kind of mental illnesses stem from. If you want to get down to the core truth of it, that's specifically like borderline personality disorder and whatnot, where it stems from. Another one, is if she's asking you to act out rape fantasies. Big fucking red flag.
All right. So I think we've gotten like some of the core.
I mean, you can go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, you're getting pretty deep down here. And so, once you see that, I mean, I think guys can see that. But what I wanted to point out was just some of these red flags and like how sex can blind men. And we let the red flags pass. And then all of a sudden we're like, whoa, how did this happen 6 months or a year down the line or even further? We're in a relationship with someone that we really don't want to be. Our values are very misaligned.
And that's in a sidebar, a big aspect of that, and I wrote about that in one of my books, was that guys and people in general jump into relationships way too fucking fast, right? Like that first I think I'm a very strong believer, you shouldn't even commit to being a boyfriend, girlfriend for at least 6 months. And most people go, that's crazy. But if you get to know that girl slowly over time, right, let's say 6 months, and then you're going to start to get a feel for who she really is. By then, any red flags are going to emerge. You're going to get a sense of her character, right? Because, the girl's looks obviously is important to us, but obviously the character is extremely important for a relationship. So when these guys, they start seeing a girl 3 weeks later, their boyfriend, girlfriend, and then 4 months later they're engaged. And then they wonder why, oh my God, I didn't know this chick was a whore, 8 months later. Well, you didn't give it enough time, right? You should have spent more time getting to know her. There's no fucking rush. And if you feel like at any time, if a guy feels like, well, if I don't hurry up, commit to her, then I'll lose her, then you've already lost the game.
Yeah, coming in from a position of scarcity.
Exactly.
And just that's a loser's game.
Yep.
Even in business, going into business, like with a lot of scarcity, it's going to be tough. If
Exactly.
you're trying to make sales to pay your cell phone bill, that's going to be tough.
Yep.
We just brought up earlier something, we talked about kind of lack of fathers and how sometimes that can bring a more feminine man into play. And I guess we can call this the nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
In your coaching, like, what are some simple solutions for guys you've worked with who may adopt more of that nice guy attitude? How do you help these guys?
Well, the first thing is that I noticed commonality among the nice guys is that they apologize for everything. I mean, I'm talking about from whatever. They get onto a subway. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Like, stop fucking apologizing, right? So we're kind of reprogramming my guy's brain to stop apologizing and approaching everything from, essentially apologizing for their existence is hard. That doesn't happen overnight because a lot of these guys that tend to be kind of effeminate or, I hate to use the alpha beta stuff, but more like beta, like also tend to have kind of dominating mothers, right? So they're used to the female figure in their life being kind of the one in the control and the one they have to answer to and get approval from. And this carries right into the relationship. And what happens is, besides obviously that the girl gets turned off by that behavior, is that the man starts to resent himself, right? The whole nice guy thing, it's not that, and this is why a lot of girls resent nice guys too, because they know the nice guy wants sex, right? He still wants to have sex with her. He still wants to do bad things to her, quote unquote. But he's doing it in a roundabout way, right? He thinks by buying her fancy gifts or expensive dinners and kissing her ass and being that shoulder to cry on, eventually she'll wake up and go, oh my God, I do have a great guy, right? So it's almost like there's an ulterior motive, but they can have more respect for the guy who comes out straight and is like, look, let's hang out. It's that simple, right? He's being direct with his intentions. So to loop back to what you were saying, though, a big part of it is not, to quit apologizing.
That is a big one. Just little things, like if you go out in public, like let's say at the grocery store, and you kind of like you're walking and someone gets close to you, and sorry, like just little
I
things.
see this shit all the time, dude. I'll be walking down the sidewalk.
It's like sorry for everything, sorry for my existence here,
exactly,
and
exactly.
Sorry just needs to be like. I would say more than half the time, sorry is just not necessary. Like saying that word.
Easily. Yeah, I mean, unless you run over someone's dog, like just stop fucking apologizing.
Unless you do something wrong, yeah.
And that goes against everything society teaches you and all that. But the reality is, and this is not to sound like, conspiracy theorist or whatever, but society is designed in a way, families are set up in a way to keep people in line, right? If you have everyone kind of being the best man they can be and whatnot, then probably societies wouldn't do too well. Right? Because they need everyone to kind of follow this framework of, no, you meet a nice girl, get married, pop out kids, get a mortgage, and go to work and work your ass off, and we'll give you vacation twice a year. Which I think our generation's kind of woken up to the concept of like, hey, maybe this isn't the best deal in the world. Right? But yeah, the not apologize. I mean, I'll be walking on the sidewalk, and a guy will be walking towards me, and he'll literally apologize and get out of the way. And I'm not a huge guy. It's not like I'm 6'6", 300 pounds. Like, you're fucking apologizing for walking down the street, right? So people can go, well, that's really minor. But that ties into how they're approaching everything in life, right? So if they have that type of attitude and they go into a job interview and they're already approaching it from a sense of scarcity, from a sense of, am I worthy? Do I really deserve this job? Boy, everyone else in the waiting room looks so much more, put together than me. I probably don't deserve this job. Like, who am I? Blah, blah, blah. By the time they get into the interview, their energy is shit, their body language is terrible, and the boss is then going, well, yeah, why the fuck would I hire this guy, right? And then obviously it goes into the dating situation, that sense of doing too much. A lot of people, if they would just work on themselves and build themselves up as men, then they would see that a lot of these things would kind of fall into place, right? The girl kind of chasing them and whatnot comes from, like having the law of abundance, right? Okay, it's not going to work out for this girl. Doesn't matter. There's literally millions of other girls in the world. And it's hard to grasp that when you have not experienced it, right? If you're a dude and you're 23 and you're a virgin, it's hard to have a sense of abundance because you haven't even had it, right? And that's kind of the hardest sticking point I've seen with clients and whatnot is, how do we get to that place without having experienced it, right?
Yeah. How do you, like, when someone you're saying like, hey man, just don't worry about her, just abundance mentality, freedom from outcome. But the guy's like, what do you mean abundance mentality? I'm just trying to, I've never even gone
Exactly.
on a
Well,
date with a girl.
the biggest thing I've seen generally from guys that struggle with that is, and this is, I mean, if someone wants to change their life, they've got to be willing to sacrifice. I've seen it come from a lot of guys who live in smaller towns, to be honest, right? So they live in a small town, say in the Midwest. There was two hot girls in their high school. One was a bitch to him. One kissed him on the cheek, and he still never got over it. And that's it, right? So you can't have a lot of abundance if all the hot girls are already married off, right? And so the first thing is, and I've even had clients like move to LA for a period of time, right? To see like, oh my God, you can go to Santa Monica Promenade and see literally 200 cute girls in probably 2 hours. You know what I mean? Like, and then you start going, okay, well, there are options out there, right? I'm not just stuck in this little bubble of scarcity. The other thing is just simple approaching. And with approaching, I don't look at it as, go spam approach 20 girls or go to the mall and spend 8 hours approaching girls. That's just not my philosophy. However, I think a guy should work approaching into his regular life, right? So he goes to work, he goes to the gym. Oh, there's a cute girl on the sidewalk as I'm walking to the gym. All right, I'm going to approach her, right? And then what happens is you don't look at the approach as being a success or failure if she responds positively to you. You look at it as being a success of the fact that you just went up and approached her. And I've noticed that this has worked really well because most guys look at it as I either get her number and that was a success or I don't, so I failed. And a lot of times it doesn't matter who the fuck you are, it just wasn't going to work, right? She really does have a boyfriend and is really into him, or she's married, or she's a lesbian, whatever. So you can't control her giving you her number. Let's just say with the number, right? I'm not even talking about like a one night stand. But you having the balls to go over, introduce yourself, talk for a little bit, and attempt to get her number, that is the success because you did that. And I noticed when my clients started switching their mindset to that, their success rate went up. And I mean, I think the obvious reason is they took the pressure off themselves, right? It wasn't a success or fail. The fact that they went over and approached them is a success in and of itself. Then as they build up their confidence with that and go, hey, this isn't too bad. This chick didn't punch me in the face or she didn't throw a drink in my face. Like, this isn't too bad at all. Then, all right, let's take it a step further and then start looking at getting the number as being the success, right? Because for some guys, the very idea of even talking to a girl gives them like legitimate anxiety. So when you're dealing with, anxiety on that level, you got to take it in pieces. It's not just, hey, just go over there and chop it up with her and then leave with her, and the guy's like, well, I've never even really talked to a girl at a club, right? So I found breaking it down into manageable pieces and taking the pressure off of if I don't get this number, I'm a fucking loser and I'll never get laid has helped a lot.
Yeah. You're changing your view, your perception of what success is. It's not like
Right.
a full game. It's like, that'd be like if I start a business, like right away, I'm just this massive like success. It's like, no, why don't I just, get this domain? Why don't I just get this my first blog post up? It's not like, oh, once I launch it, it's gonna become this massive success.
Well, yeah, you have people that, they're like, well, how do I make 6 figures with a website? And it's like your question should be like, how do I make $100 a month, right? Start off in pieces, right? That can be your overall goal, but you need to figure out how to make 1,000 a month before you're going to make 100,000 a year. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so taking it, breaking it down, and it makes it easier for people, right? You can't throw huge fucking objectives at people until they start to work up the confidence. And they do that experiences, of approaching the girls. And if a guy has really severe anxiety, I start off very simple. Just start saying hi to people, right? Hey, how you doing? Right? You see the janitor. Hey, what's up, Willie? You having a good day? I am. Awesome. Right? Because then when they see the hot girl, it's not, oh my God, I haven't spoken out loud to anyone in 5 hours. Now I have to go say hi to her. And it gets you in that automated, position of just speaking, right? You realize you'll start talking before you're even analyzing it, which helps you get out of your head. Because I think the biggest thing with most guys in their struggle with game is they overanalyze it, right? And they're thinking about it too much in their head. And that's why, they'll be like, well, after a few drinks, I do caveman game and it works. And it's like, yeah, because you're not thinking. You're not overanalyzing it. You're not sitting there going, well, should I turn my head slightly to the left and then look at her with my right eyeball? while putting my hand on my waist. That's why a lot of the PUA shit.
Or no, it's like R2, S2.
Don't even get me started. It overcomplicates it. I've had a lot of
Right.
clients come to me from a major dating company. I won't name them, but come to me almost, literally emotionally upset because, they were dropping a couple grand for multiple weekend boot camps, and that's fine. The company can charge whatever they want, but it was so complicated for them. They're like, I am so like stressed out now because I've got all these different models, like
He's like doing math. He's like doing math in his head when he's talking.
Running through my head to fucking talk to a
Instead of
girl.
just talking.
Now, from a business perspective, it's brilliant of them, right? Because they confuse the fuck out of them. They constantly sell your product. But from a humanity perspective, that's really fucking shitty, right? Because you're complicating these guys' lives when it's not that difficult. In the sense of like, let's start with this and then proceed. You know what I mean? You don't need to sit there and have algorithms going through your fucking head about talking to a girl. So that's my PUA rant.
Yeah. All right. And so a part of like the dating is like for me when I worked on the whole dating stage of my life, what I found was that it was more about just like mastering myself, like becoming a strong man, like becoming the best man I could be. And it was not so much about like, oh, these like little intricacies, these details, like how do I text? Like, how do I get a girl's, phone number from online, or how do I approach this girl? It just more to me came about like, how do I improve my life? How do I become a more stronger, more purposeful, more confident man? What are some of like, would you say like from your coaching, some of the biggest, most common challenges you see for that are holding men back from being just a more confident, I call it the grounded man, like just a more grounded man, stronger man?
Well, there's a couple different kind of types that I've noticed mostly. You've got the guys who have money, but they've never developed a personality. That's huge, right? So they have everything. It's a big thing right now of like self-improvement, and that's great. That's awesome. I totally agree. But you got to also have some game in there, right? You know what I mean? Like you can have these guys. There's tons of dudes who make, whatever. They make $1 million, not tons, but there's, guys who make $1 million a year. They have the high polluting jet style lifestyle and everything, but they have zero fucking game, right? And they're still using escorts, or they're just trying to buy, they're buying the girl purses in order to get her to hang out with him. And he's not even hooking up with her. Like I know multiple scenarios of this in Los Angeles. Right, so that's the situation where the dude needs fucking game, right? Because he's getting played, he's getting fleeced, and he's literally getting nothing out of it. Then the other extreme, you have the guy who say he's like a good-looking dude, he's got some of a personality, but his lifestyle is pretty shitty, and he's starting to hit that age where it's just not cool to be, a waiter at Applebee's anymore, right? And I'm not knocking on anybody doing that, because you all have stepping stones, but there does hit a point where you don't want to be fucking 35 doing that, right? So that's someone that it's more like, look, a little tweak here and there with your game, but you primarily need to focus on your lifestyle, right? Because you're going to hit a point, I don't care how fucking good your game is, you're not going to be pulling 22-year-olds at 55 if you're making 20 grand a year. Like if you might, but they're probably drug addicts or they're not the most desirable girls. That's just a reality. And a lot of people don't want to accept that. It has nothing to do with money. It's nothing to do with lifestyle. Like bullshit, right? Girls like fun. They like cool things. They like adventure. Money provides an avenue to supply that lifestyle. You bring them into your lifestyle. You're not giving them that lifestyle. You're just bringing them into kind of your magnetic field, so to speak. Like, this is what I do. Yeah, I'm this week and I'm going here. And you can join me if you want, right? So, that's attractive. But if the guy doesn't have any game, then he's fucked. So, those are the two biggest types I see. The guy that just needs a couple tweaks, but he needs to focus more on lifestyle. And then the guy who has the lifestyle, but he has zero fucking game. And, the biggest thing that's interesting is the guys with money, but no game, sometimes tend to be the hardest to deal with because of their ego, right?
Right.
They made that amount of money, so like, well, I must be fucking awesome. It's like, yeah, but you're not, because you can't get fucking laid, right? I think the two pillars of being a man, if you figure these two things out, you've pretty much figured out life. How to get paid and how to get laid, right? Women and money. And it's true.
I think it depends on where the guy's at in his life, but I think those are definitely two things a guy is thinking about.
Exactly. But if he can figure that out, how to do both of those by, say, like the age of 25 or 30, he's going to have a pretty good grasp of how to get through life, right? He's going to be able to avoid the damaged chick. So he's not going to marry the wrong girl and lose half his assets or whatever. He's going to know how to make money, so he'll know how to live, right? So those are two huge categories. Now, that's lower than getting into like, all right, what's your goals and your dreams and your overall kind of vision for your life and whatnot.
Yeah, like thinking about Maslow's hierarchy, those would be on the bottom, which is like get laid, get fed, have sex.
But how many dudes struggle with both? You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's
And
important.
I think
it's
if
important.
those two can't be satisfied in the sense if a guy can't figure those out, then he's always going to feel out of balance, right? You know what I mean? It's like, well, I've got the money, but I can't get girls, or I can get tons of girls, but I can't get money. Like they're constantly down there, like you said, at the bottom. In other words, struggling with those two before they can advance on to the others, because it's just an innate need for men to need, even if a dude's not into fucking tons of girls, it's an innate need for him to at least have one, right? Unless he's asexual or he's just not straight or whatever, right? So he doesn't care. But for talking about straight dudes, like they want sex, right? Now, for most dudes, they figure out game and they go, all right, maybe they go to their little binge of fucking 20 girls and they're like, all right, I'm straight. Now I'm going to find one chick, kind of settle down. And that's fine. At the same time, when you settle down with her, is your lifestyle in order, right? Are you going to be able to make money now to support that family? So then we tie into that. So those are the two main type of characters, so to speak, that I've dealt with. And you know what? Honestly, a lot of guys too, they've got some game. They got a decent lifestyle. They just need a couple tweaks here and there. I remember this one gentleman in particular, like, had a lot going on for him. He just was like overly aggressive, right? I mean, he was too much, right? The higher your value display is, right? Let's say you're a really good looking dude. You dress really sharp. You have a great lifestyle. Then you would tone down, right? You would tone down the aggressiveness. You would tone down the cockiness because it's not needed. Like your value is already on display. The chick already gets it. It's more of just playing don't fuck up game, right? But let's say you're
don't give her an excuse to run the other way.
Yeah, because it's like it's too much, right? It's just it comes across too strong. But let's say you take a guy who maybe isn't the ideal male specimen, maybe most girls would overlook him. I've known multiple players like this. I mean, dudes maybe on the shorter side, balding, like have nothing going for them physically, but they've developed their lifestyle and their personality to such an extent that they're pulling hotter chicks than some of the attractive guys, right? Because they've learned, okay, well, you know what I'm going to make up for in physicality and looks, I'm going to make up for it in having like a really dominating presence and being super charismatic and super confident. And yeah, I'm also going to drive a fucking Porsche, right? So you combine that and then it's like, all right, they're still getting the hot chicks. I think for most guys, they need to identify their weak points, right? If they kind of, and this is probably going to piss off a lot of people, but it's reality.
Speak your truth.
If a dude's lacking in certain areas of his life, say, let's just start with looks, right? If a dude is just not a good looking dude, I mean, there are some guys that are just not fucking good looking. It is what it is. Optimize as much as you can, right? Get in the best shape you can. Go get your fucking teeth bleached. Get Invisalign if you need to. If you've got the horseshoe hair going on, shave that shit off. Like get a tan, whatever. Optimize that as much as possible, right? So you can be as good looking as you possibly can. And then also work on your charisma and your personality and your game to the point where it makes up for that, right? And if you're a really good looking dude, so it's like, all right, my looks are good, I don't have to worry about that, then you want to work on your lifestyle and whatnot. So you're maximizing your weaknesses and your strengths. You see this all the time in LA. Like a good looking dude, he's like 35 and he's a barback, and yeah, he's going to pull bar girls and whatnot. But there hits a point, like you're not going to keep the really high value girls, the girls who are going out Leonardo DiCaprio and shit, you're not going to keep them with this bullshit job you have going on, right? So if you're wanting to maintain dating the nines and dimes, so to speak, then you need to get your lifestyle in fucking order. And outside of the women, you should just want to do that for yourself. There's some dudes who are simple. They don't mind a simple lifestyle, and that's totally fine. That works for them, and that's cool. But kind of my blog and the mantras that I always push is like trying to be the best you can in all areas of your life. Like we don't do fucking average, right? That's not the kind of people I seem to draw in either.
Yeah. And so this is a lot for the single guy here, and this is good stuff for the guy in the relationship. What are some common things you see with men when they're coming to you and they want to revitalize their relationship, or they want to maybe bring some more energy and spark and some of that intimacy back into their relationship?
Well, one of the biggest things I see is that guys will come to me, they're in a good relationship, but they're frustrated because they've given up working on themselves in terms of, pursuing what they want to pursue or their business or whatnot, because they think it's going to kind of capsize the boat. Here's the reality of it. If the chick's really into you, if she really fucking loves you, then she's going to be supportive and behind you pursuing what you want to pursue, whether that's starting a business or going to be a fucking, mountain climber, whatever the fuck it is. She's either along for the ride or she's not. There's a famous quote. I don't know, it's one of the game bloggers, I think, said this, that your mission should be your priority and not the girl, right? And the irony is, a lot of guys think, well, if I don't make her a priority, she won't be in my life. No, that's not the truth. And honestly, the more a guy's focused on his goal, the more passionate he is about achieving success in whatever niche he's in, the more the girl's drawn to him. Girls don't want to be your main dish. They want to be an appetizer. They want to be a part of your life. They want to be a part of this journey you're taking. The moment where guys fuck up is where they make the girl the priority, where they make everything, oh, honey, you want to go to law school in Philadelphia? Okay, well, yeah, I'll just quit my job and come with you. And automatically she starts drying up. I mean, that's just fucking reality. And it goes against everything society tells you, and parents are like, no, put the woman first and all that. But that's not actually what they're attracted to. Now, in terms of bringing a spark into the relationship, one of the easiest ways to do this, and some guys might be like, well, I don't feel right doing that, and that's fine. But, you can do light flirting on the side and everything. Like, no one's telling you to go out and you have to cheat on your girl. You don't have to do that by any means. I totally get the guys who don't want to do that, right? But if you're out, you're with your buddy, whatever, you're watching a sports game, and the waitress is cute or whatever, you flirt with her a little bit, that's it, right? It's like an innocent thing, but it helps remind you that you have options, right? You still kind of have it. Now, when you go back to your chick, she's going to sense that, right? They have this innate ability to sense when a guy is in demand by chicks. Plus, they'll note it if you're out with them, and they'll notice a girl looking over or whatnot. And the reality is, women want to be with men who are wanted by other women. Women don't want the guy who no girls want. They don't want that. That sums up fame game, right? Why do women want Justin Bieber, right? Because it's pre-selection, because all these chicks want Justin Bieber, right? So then they're very hive-minded, like sheep. Oh, well, thousands of women want him. Well, I want him too, right? And it becomes almost a competition. And, we could take this all into the science of it and everything. That's the very basic explanation of it. But the point is that if you make it with your girl that, I'll never leave you, there's nothing you could ever do that would cause me to not be in this relationship, and I'll do anything for you, and da-da-da, she's going to start to become disinterested, because she's going to start going, maybe I could actually do better than this then, right? Maybe I didn't get the best guy, right? Like, why is he's so head over heels with me? Instead, you want her to prove herself to you, and there's a whole process behind that and whatnot, but you're wanting to always be the prize, right? That doesn't mean you can't be affectionate. It doesn't mean you can't love her. It doesn't mean you can't be sweet to her, but you're doing it in small doses, right? Let's say you wrote her a little note like, have a great day, love you, whatever, right? Would you do that every fucking day? No, because it loses its power. If you did it once a year, or maybe once every 6 months, then it would actually work. And what most guys do, they overdo it like crazy. They show so much affection and constantly vocalizing shit. There's a reason why women are drawn to more mysterious men, in the sense that they're not constantly having to express how they feel about the girl. That's the girl's job, right? She should be the one oohing and awing over you. Like, oh, I'm so, happy to be with you. And she should be the one, where do you think this relationship's going? And what do I mean to you? And so she should be the one asking that. I see nowadays it's the fucking dudes asking it. Like, well, honey, like, what do you think about us? Where do you think about where we're at in this relationship? And you're like, what? And the girl's going, whoa, I've known you 3 weeks. So a lot of it's the slowing down, focusing on your mission, not making the girl the priority in your life. She can be your companion in life and your journey on your adventure, not giving too much, not constantly being available. I mean, a huge thing I see, you want to talk about a spark, is guys, they'll get a girl and they instantly ditch their guy friends, right? Then the girl dumps him after a year because she's sick of being around him every fucking day. And then he comes crawling back to his guy friends like, hey, man, you guys want to hang out? And you're laughing because you know it's true.
Well,
So,
I mean, yeah, you're just painting a picture here, and it is true. It's like you left your life and everything that you built in the last 25, 30, whatever, 40 years, and then you chase this woman.
exactly. So a practical example of this is you're like, look, so you have your girlfriend. Let's say you see her 4 times a week, right? Cool. Now you go, you don't fall into that trap of making that girl your world, because so goes that girl, there goes your world. And I know this from experience. I've made that mistake multiple times years ago, so I'm able to tell you from real experience. This isn't like, ooh, I just thought of this or something. When you make the girl your life and then, say it doesn't work out, your life collapses. And this is why guys can take breakups so fucking painfully, because they've built their world around. Imagine the dude who moves to be with a girl because she wants to go to medical school in XYZ city, whatever, right? And so he left a good job and his friends and his family, whatever, and made her his world. It's this huge, huge fucking mistake that a lot of guys do, right? So a practical example is, all right, on the weekends, it's not going to be every Friday night or every Saturday night, but this weekend, yeah, Friday night, me and you, like, we'll go to the movies, whatever. Oh, what about Saturday night? I thought we could spend the whole weekend together. And you're like, no, Saturday night I'm hanging out with my boys. Oh, but why don't you hang out with me? My guys are important to me. You're very important to me as well. Obviously, that's why we're hanging out Friday. Saturday night I'm hanging out with my boys. Done. End of the fucking conversation. You're not going to sit there and debate it, get into an argument. And what this does, if you do it from the beginning, it sets kind of these, it's like bowling or whatever. You got the gutter guards or whatever. You're setting up these kind of guidelines, boundaries. That's the word. You're setting up fucking boundaries, saying you're not going to cross this. You know what I mean? If you do, we're not going to be together. And this ties into frame, right? But what it does, the overall thing, is it gives her time to miss you, right? Too much of being together, too much. It's not fucking good. It also keeps your relationships good with your friends. You're still, respecting and spending time with your friends. You're not just throwing them under the bus, because they're going to be there way past when she's gone. If you guys don't work out, like, that's just a reality. On top of it, it makes it more fun, right? She's going to value the time she's with you more. If you're constantly available to someone, it becomes unattractive. This is even on a platonic male to male friendship. If your buddy's hitting you up every fucking, hey Joe, like, let's hang out. Hey Joe, what you doing? I just got off work. Like, dude, relax. Right? And people that are really focused on self-improvement and stuff, men, they don't mind being alone to work on something they need to work on. Right? They're not spending every 24/7 socializing or hitting up their friends talking about meaningless shit. Like, they're busy people. So your friends, because you want to hang out with people that are obviously doing things in life, are getting ahead, they're probably not going to be available all the time anyway. Now, that doesn't mean you can't spend the occasional weekend together and whatnot, but that's just a very small example of how to set up boundaries, keeping that relationship spark alive and whatnot. And the other thing is, too, is, in the beginning portion of relationship, girls will always try to push for as much ground as they can get, right? It's like the government, right? They'll push and push unless the people kind of go, hold up, right? Then they won't stop. And it's very natural for girls to do this. It doesn't mean they're evil. They're just trying to kind of secure their property, so to speak. They're trying to get, they're trying to get you kind of under a wrap, you know what I mean? So they don't lose you. But one of the key things to do is just kind of lay down the ground rules from the beginning. Like, look, you're not going to be doing this, this, and this. And that's not saying she's not going to be doing whatever, like hanging out with her friends, wherever. But in terms of like questioning you all the time. Like, I see this where guys, just a perfect example the other day. It's like a Saturday night. I was out with a buddy and his chick calls him like screaming. It sounded like a mother screaming at a child, screaming at him. Where are you at? Who are you with? Like, you need to get home right now, blah, blah, blah. Just acting. He's like, I'm sorry, baby. I'm like, give me the fucking phone. And I'd never seen this girl talk to her before. I'm like, first off, chill the fuck out, right? You're talking to your boyfriend. He's a man, you're a girl. You want respect, stop fucking yelling at him. And it was like, and she got quiet. I was like, now you ready to talk like an adult? But I wasn't being emotional about it, right? I wasn't yelling at her. I was diffusing her emotional outburst. And then when he went home to her, he's like, my God, he goes, I couldn't believe it. Like, she's never been that relaxed. And I'm like, yeah, because it took me doing it, but you got to set up this barrier of like, no, you're not going to be yelling at me. I'm not your child. You're not going to be questioning me. You're not going to be asking me 24/7 where I'm at, who I'm with. I'm not doing that. If it's going to be that way, then we shouldn't be together. And it kind of plays into the principle of people want what they can't have, right? When a guy does that, the girl goes, oh my God, this dude's a real man. So could go on about that for a bit but
yeah. All right. It's good. It's given some guys some good advice on kind of the early stages of that relationship and how to set up the right frame and boundaries so it doesn't come crashing down later, or you end up getting into something that you really didn't really want to be in the first place. So I think that's good stuff. Let's now dive into the knowledge round. I'm just going to ask you a few more questions here. So Christian, you ready for the knowledge round?
Let's do it.
If you want to grow to the highest levels that you've ever been at in your life, go to kfmfree.com and you can download the top 30 books and success quotes that every man must live by. Every guy should read. If you want to grow, if you want to achieve greatness in life, you're going to have to read and surround yourself with the greatest minds of the world. So I've done all of the hard work for you. I've read hundreds of books. I've listened to hundreds of audiobooks. I've gone through and found the best quotes that you'll need to succeed and thrive and grow and become the man that you want to be. So go to kfmfree.com and I'll send it to you right now. kfmfree.com.
Welcome to the Knowledge Round, where the guests will be asked rapid-fire questions to give the audience invaluable pieces of wisdom to help transform their lives. Starting in 3, 2, 1, showtime.
All right, so this is going to be along the lines of more lifestyle stuff. So, Christian, what advice would you give to someone who's feeling really lost or unsure of their purpose, lacking a sense of direction in their life?
I think the biggest thing is tuning out the noise, right? So you can't figure out what you want if you're getting bombarded constantly with all these different voices. So by that, I mean, say, okay, I'm really confused in life. Maybe, I don't know, let's say you're out of college a year and you're just not where you want to be. Be like, you know what, for the next fucking 2 days, even if it's something as small as 2 days, I'm going to kind of disconnect. I'm not going to get on Facebook. I'm not going to get on Twitter. I'm not going to read bullshit clickbait articles. I'm just going to let my mind quiet down and kind of listen to myself, right? What do I fucking want? And it's very simple, but taking out a piece of paper and a pen and kind of stream of consciousness, starting writing down things that come to your mind after you've let it quiet, right, will help you figure out what you want. The problem is nowadays is that there's so much information being thrown at people and there's so much noise, and you got your phone and say a dude uses Tinder, he's getting a Tinder alert, then he gets a Facebook alert, then he's on Twitter, and now you read an article about how all the SJWs are going to round up the men and put them in prison, like just all this shit, right? They can't think, right? And they can't focus on what they want. And I found that just kind of putting that shit to the side and analyzing what you want, and this can also play into outside influence, whether that's your friends or your parents, as well as tension as they can be. Sometimes they don't know what's right for you, right? We grow up always thinking, well, our parents know what's right for us, or our friends have our best intention. And the reality is, when you're trying to do something different in life, when you're trying to take a different path that maybe is not a common path, it's a natural reaction for other people to try to kind of pull you back into the bucket, right? It's like the crabs in the bucket, like, no, like say a dude decided he was going to go overseas or whatever and travel. Oh, no, you don't need to go overseas. Like, you'll get killed. Americans get killed over there. You don't want to go. So just stay here and get a job with, whatever, your mother's brother, his insurance company. That's safe and secure, right? So it's not that they have evil intentions, but kind of the outside people, the outside influencers in your life can definitely make it difficult to isolate what it is that you want to do. And this is specifically comes into play with very kind of passive guys, right? Like we were talking about earlier, the kind of the nice guy, the apologetic guy, because he doesn't want to offend them. He doesn't want to hurt their feelings. And so it's harder for him to take a stand. So he might go down a life path that he absolutely hates and despises and doesn't want to do, but he does it. I mean, honestly, because maybe he didn't want to offend his parent, or maybe he didn't want to piss off a buddy of his, right? So kind of quieting the voices, quieting the outside noise, so you can kind of be still and be quiet and listen to yourself and like, what do I want? Let me take everybody out of the equation. What do I want?
Yeah, that's honestly something that I share with my clients too. Just no electronics. If you do bring electronics, just airplane mode, and maybe listen to some nice music and just sit down with a notebook and a pen, old fashioned style, and just write out at the top, what do I really want? And I think I do that personally myself, and not think about anything external in terms of like family, friends, society, any of that. Just like really sit down and listen to your own inner voice and get clear on what you really want. Really good. Now, Christian, what was holding you back personally from becoming the man you are now today?
Well, the biggest thing I would say, I mean, I've always been pretty headstrong and focused, but two things come into mind. You know, people think I'm cocky now. I'm actually really toned down. Cockiness was a huge, huge flaw of mine to an extreme. You know, we're not talking Kanye level delusional cocky, but it was cocky that wasn't backed up by experience. So once I kind of got in the game and like, all right, I got good at it, then I would say, you know, early 20s, my cockiness level was blinding me, right? So then it was easy to make decisions I shouldn't have made because I was so blind. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, okay, that's actually a good suggestion. That's a good suggestion. Let me look at how those avenues could go. It was more like, oh, no, I'm the fucking man. This is the way it's going to go, and that's it. And so ego, right? It is good to have an ego. I think more people could do to have one, but have one that's based in reality and kind of measured with logic. You know what I mean? You don't want to be delusional and you don't want to be cocky based off of emotions, right? It needs to be grounded in something. So that was one of the big ones. And like the other one I mentioned earlier, not taking responsibility, right? Or playing the victim. I went through a period where kind of started going down that road of being the victim and, you know, man, why does all this bad shit keep happening to me? Why do people keep trying to screw me over and all that? It was just a matter of, no, you're not taking responsibility for yourself. So let's reassess. And then, you know, once I did that, then it all started working out. But those two, ego and the other one I just fucking mentioned, I can't remember.
Cockiness.
Cockiness, yeah. Cockiness,
I mean,
and ego. Yeah.
Kind of related there. What would you say are 3 of your most influential books that you've read on your journey and why?
See, this is the funny thing about the books because everybody, you know, like books are great. Everybody is such a hard on for books. But I've known so many motherfuckers who have like literally piles of books in their house and they're always about buying the new book that someone comes out with, but they've never done anything, right? They have all this knowledge, but they're not putting action into it. So believe it or not, you know, I'm not that guy saying, if you're not reading a book a week, you're a loser. It's like, no, why don't you take, you know, okay, you read a book, you got some practical shit out of it. Now bust your ass 80 hours a week for the next 3 months and see what happens. You know what I mean? But I would say, you know, Millionaire Fastlane is an excellent book, especially when you're talking about making money online. That's an excellent, excellent book by MJ DeMarco. A couple other books. Honestly, biographies of great men. If you read any biographies about anybody from Andrew Carnegie to, you know, Richard Branson or whatever, I'm talking about self-made men. I'm not talking about, you know, like Donald Trump's is good, but I'm talking about men who literally came from nothing, right? That's inspiring to me. It's not like, oh, okay, I was handed X amount of dollars and then I did this with it. That's cool. Not throwing shade on you, but how does that help someone who's coming from nothing, right? So any type of books like that can be really motivational, but not just motivational because motivation can come and go, but it can show you that it's possible. And hope is key, right? If someone doesn't have hope in their life, then like how can they get through the struggles? How can they get through the hard times where they don't have anybody telling them it's going to be okay, right? Well, that book can tell you it can be okay. Specific book I haven't read it yet. I've heard amazing things. Is the Shark guy, Shark Tank, the FUBU guy. I think.
Yeah, Damon John.
Yeah, Damon John.
Power of Broke.
Book, The Power of Broke.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So coming from nothing, right now, like moving his way up.
Yeah.
That can really kind of give you hope and go, hey, they did it. I can do it too. And you'll learn business insight from those if you really like kind of read between the lines as well. A lot of these books people read and they think, well, I'm going to read this book and I'm going to become a millionaire. And it's like you're looking at it the wrong way, right? Read the book, take it for what it is, and there'll be stuff in there that you can glean from and learn, even if it's one or two things that might actually shift your business in a big way. But I'm not the biggest read a book every fucking day or you're a schmuck. I think a lot
there's only one guy saying that. We all know who that guy is.
Well, yeah, I know you're talking.
I've met that guy.
I mean, I can't knock him because you know what? The dude, he's able to have Mark Cuban on his show and everything. I mean, for all the hate he gets, the dude definitely knows some people and he's making money, and so there be it. You know what I mean? But I'm talking about even kind of in our corner of the internet, so to speak. There's a lot of like, you must read, and you need to read fucking books on philosophy or you're a loser and shit. Like, guess what? You know what I mean? There's not like one book in my life that said, okay, this is how you're going to do it. I just fucking did it and put action, because I think books too get people, if someone reads one book on this, and the next week they read another book on that. And I've seen this as common among guys who are reading tons of books, but they're not doing anything with their life. They get confused. Like, well, this said to do this, and that book said to do that, and that book said to do that. Well, I don't even know where to start. I've got all this information. Like, what the fuck do I do? You know what I mean? So I think it's important. It's good to read. That's all well and great. But if you're going to read some, actually implement it. Like, fucking put action behind it. Because through that action and through that experience is what you're going to learn what's really going to work and what's not.
Yeah. Yeah. I say for every hour of reading, if you're going to do an hour of reading, you got to go out and take at least 2 hours of action.
Oh, yes.
Like minimum on that. And if that's what's happening, then I think it's a good, you're getting good information, you're taking action, you're getting results, something's happening in your life, you're getting somewhere. And I'm a big fan of reading. I think it's absolutely critical in addition to action. You're absolutely right.
I'm the same route. If you're just going to read and not do anything with it, you might as well just burn the book. It's pointless.
Yeah. There's that. I don't know who says it exactly, but knowledge is power is like what I see floating around. But like, it's only power if it's applied.
Exactly.
So it's comma if only applied.
Exactly. There it is.
All right. Just a scenario here for you. So imagine you had 60 seconds with, let's say, your 20-year-old self. If you had 60 seconds with him, if you could picture 20-year-old Christian right now,
yep,
and you could tell him, a little bit of advice, like what to do and what not to do. And you could just sit down with him for a second. What would you tell him to do?
Wear condoms. No. No, I would say, look, get into making money online, right? Get into like online entrepreneurship now, not in, 2012 or something, because, it was obviously less competition back then and whatnot. I would have said, definitely get an internet business. I would have said, drop out of college because you'll never use your degree. And I would have said, cut back on the drinking a little bit. You don't have to drink that much.
Yeah, it's funny. Typically there's two things a lot of guys say, and it has something to do with usually some woman, and it has something to do with drugs or alcohol.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I was thinking about the other day, like all the experiences I've had with women, like 400, 450 plus women. I don't know. I've almost lost track, but a lot. Like, you don't regret it because it's, it's kind of like it makes you who you are. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean you have to continue on doing that, but that is, at the very base, like who I am, right? I've been with lots of women. I love women. That is what it is. So there it is. You don't want to be one of those people that goes, well, you really didn't have to do that, because honestly, it doesn't even matter, right? It's all in the past is what it is. But for you younger guys, I definitely would say, look at your life, have a balance. Don't be that guy who puts all his energy into women. Don't be that guy who puts all of his fucking energy into making money. There's a balance, right? And when you're young, perfect example, a client of mine works on Wall Street, literally works for 100 hours a week, still finds time to go out a couple nights a week and practice game, right? And he's at 22, 23. So you have more energy than you realize. You can definitely bust ass, build a business, get your degrees, kick ass at your job, whatever, and still find time to get pussy. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing, like I'm going to go approach 8 hours a day, or I'm going to go work 8 hours a day. It's like, work for 7 hours, and then go out for 2 hours, and then get up and do it again. It's not that big of a deal. because as you get older, your energy levels go down tremendously. So you definitely want to take advantage of those younger years.
All right. Nice. So now, Christian, what's exciting you today? Like, what's getting you out of bed in the morning?
Life, man. I'll be honest, life. I mean, I'm fucking excited. I got something coming out that's been under cloak and dagger, under wrap, and I can't even say anything now, actually, but it's going to be out like in the next week or two. And I think it's like a huge game changer, and it ties in with self-improvement actually for guys, but I think it's pretty fucking amazing. So I've been focused on that, making that amazing, and just loving life. You know what I mean? Like there's so much in life still that I want to do. I'm almost 32 years old, and I feel like I'm just getting started. So getting up, if your vision is strong, if what you're motivated by is a true passion, then you'll get up in the morning, right? Like if you find yourself, oh my God, I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to go to this fucking job, or, oh, I hate this, whatever I'm doing in my life, then you're not following the right vision. When your vision's strong, when your passion is there, then you're going to focus on that. You're going to be able to get up. It's not even going to feel like work because it's what you should be doing.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, speaks volumes. And how can the audience follow up with you moving forward?
realchristianmcqueen.com. That's my blog. I used to update it like 5 times a week. Now I'm down to probably about twice a week. That's including the podcast. But there's damn near 400 articles on there. There's the podcast, which all the links are on realchristianmcqueen.com. Otherwise, I'd throw like 20 links at you. Because I have so many different sites.
Right.
I lose track of them.
Yeah,
one of the domains expired the other day, and I'm like, what the fuck? Where'd my site go? And GoDaddy's like, yo, you need to renew this. I was like, oh, okay. But I'd just forgotten,
Yeah. So the hub, the central is the Real Christian McQueen.
realchristianmcqueen.com. That's the blog.
All right.
Free articles, all that shit. Good stuff.
All right, Christian. Different type of show, but still a lot of value. I think a lot of listeners can really, if they're here still listening an hour in, I think they've gotten a tremendous amount of value. And
absolutely,
it's going to be a catalyst for creating an epic year in 2016. So thank you for your time, Christian.
Absolutely. Thanks for your time, Andrew.
Thank you for listening to the Knowledge for Men podcast. Hundreds of interviews and millions of downloads later, we're continuing to build an international movement, and we're just getting started. So if you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and leave a helpful review in iTunes, because it really helps the podcast grow so we can impact even more men in the world who need this. Guys, this is all about living with purpose, where every day you only do things that matter to you. You wake up, live with purpose, and take massive action towards the life you want. And always remember, love the life you have while creating the life of your dreams. Go to kfmfree.com to get a surprise bonus I've made for my listeners. Again, that's kfmfree.com for something that's changed my life, and I'm offering it to you for free. Also, check out my Amazon best-selling books that I've written for you to help you crush life at kfmauthor.com. Again, that's kfmauthor.com to see all the books I've created to help you break through in life. This is your host, Andrew Farabee, founder of knowledgeformen.com, and I'll see you in the next episode.